So what are levels of measurement? Levels of measurement describe or give us the properties of the information that we collect. There are 4 levels of measurement: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. For this class, we're going to use interval and ratio interchangeably, although there are differences between them. Let's talk about the different levels of measurement. We'll start with nominal. Nominal data are data that we put into categories. These categories or buckets have no numeric value. In addition to that, we cannot operate mathematically with them. So an example would be colors. Green, orange, purple, and red. They have no numeric value. They're simply categories. Skittles. Another example of nominal or categorical data, stray Skittle there, is political affiliation. Democrats, Republicans, Tea Party, Libertarians. Simply categories, no mathematical relationship between any of those different classifications. Next, I'm going to look at interval. Interval level data is not defined simply by being numeric. Sometimes people make the mistake of thinking because there are numbers, it is therefore interval data. That isn't necessarily true. What makes interval level data interval is the instrument that's used to measure the data. In this case, we have a ruler. Now, in this case, the measures, or the distance between each unit of measure, is fixed across the entire scale, meaning that the interval between 2 and 3 is equal to the interval between 6 and 7, and is equal to the interval between 10 and 11. Equal intervals, interval data. Now, in addition to that, we would like, in an interval scale, for the mathematical operations to work properly. What I mean by that is the distance between 2 and 6 is equal to the distance between 7 and 9 plus the distance between 11 and 13. The intervals work, the mathematics works. Interval scaling. Another example of interval data is a thermometer. Temperature in Celsius. If we had a real thermometer here, we would see that the interval between each scale on an actual thermometer is fixed across the entire scale. Now, there's something else unique about the thermometer, and that is at 0 or 0 degrees Celsius, we do not have a complete absence of temperature. What makes ratio data ratio is that the 0 is absolute, meaning that when we have a 0 measure of whatever it is that we're measuring, in this case temperature in Celsius, that we have an absolute 0. And the reason we know that we don't have one with a Celsius thermometer is that we can measure negative temperature. -5 degrees Celsius, -20 degrees Celsius. Therefore, the 0 is not absolute. The scale is interval, but it is not ratio. Let's go back to our measure of distance using a ruler. The 0 measure, or 0 inches, equals a complete absence of length. As such, we have a scale that is interval and it is ratio. The last level of measure I'll talk about is ordinal. Ordinal data is rank data, meaning that on the scale that we're measuring, things are relative. Let's take the statement, "Today is a good day." You may strongly agree with that, or you might agree, you might be neutral, you may disagree, or strongly disagree. These are ranked data. Strongly agree, relatively speaking, has more agreement or strength than agree. Strongly disagree has more disagreement or greater strength on the disagreement side of the scale than disagree. And neutral sits in the middle between each of these. Therefore, we can clearly define this as ranked data. We can't describe it as interval data even if we were to collect it and attach numbers to it, like we do with the SAI at the end of each class, the end of each semester where you rate your instructors, or even a pain scale where we ask a patient to give us a sense for how much pain they are experiencing. Because the distance in intervals cannot be relied upon even among one individual, let alone between different individuals. We cannot be sure that the interval between agree and strongly agree is the same as the interval emotionally between neutral and disagree, or disagree and strongly disagree. For one individual, that distance could be very large, and even within another individual could be very small. So the intervals don't have enough consistency, aren't fixed, and can't be relied upon to work mathematical operations. We therefore define this as ordinal data. That's been your Statistical Minute.